Tennesseans secure their firearms. Learn where you can request your free cable lock at safestoretn.com. That's safestoretn.com. Brought to you by the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Well, today we are back at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, and it's good to be back on campus, so to speak. Bitterly cold Thursday in Nashville. It is, at the moment, 22 degrees. Big heat wave tomorrow when we get up to 34. And then on Saturday, we go to 43 degrees. So my guess is that all of you are going to want to jump in the swimming pool at that point because it'll be so warm. But that's what we've got right now. We're getting close to the end of the worst of it. And then next week, it's really supposed to be nice. In fact, let me get real specific about that for just a second. Next week, high on Monday, 59, then 62, 63, 50, and 47. So it's getting better. Kelly Holcomb is traveling, and I know we're going to try to reach him, but he's down in southern Middle Tennessee, down near where he grew up. His daughter plays tonight. I think it's in Florence, Alabama. By the way, she's been killing it. What was it she had, Billy? Like 9 3-point field goals Saturday?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what Kelly said.
I happened to walk in on the field goal that she made where she became Lipscomb's all-time leading scorer on the women's side, and Kelly was so fired up about it that he sent me a snarky text about 30 minutes later, basically saying, "I'm amazed you're still awake." And I sent him one back that said, "Go home, you loser." What's going on?
Not much. We got Kelly.
Do we?
Yeah, we got him.
Okay, let's find out where he is. Kelly, where are you?
Parts unknown, man. I'm think I'm outside of Columbia. Well, we just passed through Columbia, so I'm in between Columbia and Mount Pleasant.
That's
okay.
Pleasant.
Yeah, they had a nice play on words. Is it Florence, Alabama you're going to?
It is, yeah, UNA. Yeah, we make a trip down there, and a quick trip down, a quick trip back.
And we were talking, you may have heard us. Was it 9 3-point field goals she hit Saturday?
She did, yeah. She was 9 of 10, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, you pass on our congratulations to her. So what's going on in your world?
Not much, man. Just talking to y'all right now, but going down here to this game. Hopefully we can get another one, man. They got to keep winning. If they don't, they're we just need a good seeding for the tournament. I said it yesterday. We can't. We have never beat FGCU, but if we can get like the second seed, and maybe we don't have to play them for the championship. So I don't know. It's just you got to win at this time of year. It's you know how that goes with with men's basketball, women's basketball, with March Madness going. So it's hard. It's hard sometimes not to stub your toe and get a loss, but they need to keep winning.
So Kelly is in, obviously, southern Middle Tennessee. We're going to try to keep him on for the first hour, but we will throw out this one little asterisk. Phone connection as you get down south is not always perfect, so we'll just see how far this is able to go. Billy, both of us trust that you have a terrific update
It's just another loaded update, just one of many.
No, don't act like they just roll on and on and on.
I'll say this.
It's like when the guy says, and another first down, and you look and your team has for the game.
Billy, how taxing is this? You get up about 10 minutes before the show comes on air and you start looking at stuff. Is that how you do it? Or, is this like a long-standing thing where you get up like in the morning and you drink your little Starbucks latte and you look through the paper and you look through all this stuff with your slippers on and your little robe? I mean, is that how we do it or what?
Is your wife listening to this?
Oh, there's no question. But she's been around me for, 35 years now. So she just rolls her eyes.
None of this is a surprise.
No, none of it. She hits me sometimes when I get too mean to Billy. When I get on him too much, she's like, "You got to stop that."
Okay, now what was it you said? Was it a latte?
Yeah, he's got one of those. I don't frappuccino lattes or whatever it is. I don't know, with his little slippers, with his with his slippers on and his robe.
Oh.
All right, this is a little ridiculous.
This is.
But anyway, update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland.
Glossed over that, didn't you?
Well, that's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online, mortgageladyyusa.com, or give her a call, 615-969-4350.
He never goes away, though, does he?
No, he's like a little gnat. Last night, Kentucky wallops Vandy in the second half. They had him in the first half.
Yeah.
It was a high-scoring first half. Vandy was only down by 41-40, but then Kentucky outscores Vandy in the second half, 41-21, and just same story, different day for Vandy with another poor second half as they lose 87-61.
Yeah, it's some of that is Rupp Arena. It happens.
That place, the way they jump up and
listen,
they take over games. That crowd does. It feels like.
Listen, it's an amazing place. I've done 8 games there. I was 0 for 8, and really only close to winning in one of them.
I can only imagine as a player, the place just engulfs you. Their PA guy, he's awesome.
He gives you a big basket. Bye.
Yeah.
When Patino was there and they had the national title team, it felt like the Christians versus the Lions, just to be honest.
Kelly liked that one.
Yeah.
Auburn had a tough one last night. They had to grit it out against Arkansas at home, 67-60. Arkansas is playing well. I mean, they ran into Auburn last night, and that's going to happen. But I was impressed by Arkansas last night. They held Auburn to 67 points at home.
They're playing better.
Also, how about the Missouri Tigers?
How about those Missouri Tigers? Kelly, you noticed I picked that. Kind of an upset special.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me. Like, you look at what South Carolina's done this year, they're over. And the same thing happened to Missouri last year, and the turnaround that they've had, like, good, great. That's amazing to me, but I guess in today's transfer portal world, you can do that. It's just like when free agency came along in the National Football League, you can turn things around quick, and that's what's happened in Columbia.
The kid, Caleb Grill.
He lights it up.
Man,
he looks like
shoot?
Looks like he's about 40 years old, too.
He does.
But they get the win over number 4 Alabama, 110-98. Alabama's got their schedule, by the way, coming up is a gauntlet. They host Kentucky on Saturday. Also, Northern Iowa comes back to beat Belmont last night, 82-75. I watched a lot of that first half, and Belmont was up huge, but Northern Iowa comes through and
couldn't hold it.
That's a big loss, tough loss for Belmont. They were up big in the first. Also tonight, Lipscomb has to turn around and play North Alabama tonight.
I will be there
at. I'm forgetting what that place is called over at Lipscomb.
Allen Arena.
There you go.
And that's a big game.
Big one. Kelly, do they usually play, like if the women play in Florence or the men playing at home, or I thought they did some home and like the women play before and then the men play, or is that not every time?
Yeah, they did that. They did that last week, and I think they did it twice last week. They did it on a Thursday and a Saturday last week, but Yeah, you normally don't get this. Like normally you go somewhere else and then they're playing either at Allen Arena or they're playing somewhere else. But it just happened this way that we're playing UNA down there and then they're playing the UNA men in Nashville.
Four Nations final tonight, U.S. and Canada in Boston, 7:00 on ESPN. It's basically a pick'em on the sports books. And how about this for
Hold on. Did you see what happened earlier today?
What?
On Sports Center, they had PK Subban.
I did. I saw that. I was going to clip that, but
he's Canadian. He's talking about how he wants the Canadians to win, but he thinks the United States wins, and they turn on the national anthem, and Matt Berry starts singing it. It was funny.
It's fun. This is awesome. I mean, what the NHL has done is so cool, but DraftKings says that its four most bet hockey games of the season have been from this tournament. So it's helped the NHL a ton. FanDuel says these Four Nations games are averaging over 6 times as many bets as an average NHL game this regular season. And if you're looking to get tickets, it only costs you $2,350.
Yeah.
For
good
tonight's
luck.
Game. So
wow.
Hot ticket in Boston. Also, some tough NBA news. Spurs star Victor Wembanyama is expected to miss the rest of the season.
That is a bad story for the NBA because let's face it, Billy, he is their star of the future.
Yep.
He is everything he's been advertised to be, and at 7'4", the guy has incredible agility. This is a bad blow for the NBA and the Spurs.
Blood clot shoulder.
Yeah.
So you hate to see that. In the NFL, the Saints have hired Eagles quarterback coach Doug Nussmeier as their offensive coordinator. He goes down to New Orleans. He'll be with his son, Garrett, who's the LSU quarterback. This is his first offensive coordinator role in the NFL, but you'd think he's ready. He's been to a lot of spots. He's coached in college. So that's what the Saints are going with. Some baseball news. The Yankees and Aaron Boone have agreed to a 2-year contract extension.
Which it'll be interesting. Terry's going to join us in a minute. And because Yankee fans have not been all that thrilled with Aaron Boone, and he shut them up completely with the run to the World Series. Yeah. And my guess is that Terry's kind of mixed on it.
So some Yankee fans are mixed on Boone.
Yeah. But they have this attitude that they should win every year. And my reaction to that is go stuff it. I mean, what are we all here for? We're just chopped liver. The rest of us.
Or you're a hater. You're a Bronx hater, dude.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, I'm not really denying that.
In college football,
there's a lot of evidence out there suggests I might be.
Miami quarterback Carson Beck had 2 of his cars stolen overnight in South Florida, a Mercedes-Benz and a Lamborghini.
Why does he need 2 cars?
Because he's got a lot of money.
Seriously.
I mean.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of money hooked up in those 2 cars, and good luck retrieving that.
Yeah, he might be up a little bit of a creek here.
And let me also say this, okay? I don't know what his pro future is. It may be really good. Put some money in the bank. Okay? Please. Have some sense of money management. Where are the parental units in this?
See, that's the whole thing about all this, though, George. You're giving kids that might have come from a background who their parents don't even know how to manage money, and then you're giving them millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And hey, the NCAA better step up and they better figure out something. They better get these guys in courses to understand financial stuff and to understand, hey, you have to pay taxes, fellas. Because I've heard of a couple of stories where guys didn't even realize they had to pay taxes, and then you get the IRS after them.
Oh,
that's not fun.
No, they play for keys.
Well, just another issue in college football. Steve Sarkisian announced that Texas will not hold a spring game, and they're going to embrace the NFL-style OTAs moving forward.
Good Lord. Kelly, are spring games needed?
In my opinion anymore, no, not really. I mean, but it's a huge I can see where Steve Sarkisian's going because it's a year-round thing. Back in the day, you started off-season workouts, but that was a coach where, the coaches were able to see guys that were younger that didn't get to play the year before. But nowadays, man, I don't it's just like these preseason games in the NFL. I'm not sure it's needed, and I'm not sure spring practice is needed in college football anymore. So I don't know if it's kudos to Steve Sarkisian for being the first to do it, but I can see more people doing that because with the amount of money that these guys are giving guys, you can't afford to get guys injured in spring ball. Can't do it.
Well, that's what he said. He said college football is changing right now. We need to do a great job of adapting as head coaches on the fly. And he said there's just not much upside to spring games with the risk of injury, and you can allocate your money, that you use for your program in other places. Lane Kiffin basically used the spring game as an NIL fundraiser.
Yeah, but and that's where I was going was, okay, at Nebraska, for instance, Nebraska has also called theirs off.
Yeah.
And
USC did the same too.
Yeah, and they've had some times where they've put 60, 70,000 in there, and even if it's $10 a pop,
turn it into like a flag football.
Yeah.
Do something, because you do feel like you're missing out on some money that with these big fan bases.
Have some fun.
That's what I got.
Okay, I don't think it was an A+.
That was probably a B+, I'd say.
Yeah.
Kelly,
it was good. It was okay. It was okay, Billy. I give it a B. It was good.
Now he's trying to soften up, which tells me that his wife told him to cool it a little bit.
Got to balance it out.
Either that.
I get the rolling of the eyes. I don't want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. Okay, after the break, Terry McCormick's going to join us, and I think he's going to tell you that the Titans are targeting Mr. Darnold. Stick around. This is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Hey, it's Jake Lyman. Vandy Women's Hoops is in Norman on Thursday night facing Oklahoma for the first time as a member of the SEC. I'll have the call. Pre-game coverage starts at 5:45.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So yesterday we got a lot of response to the listing of the 8 quarterbacks that it feels like will be out on the free agent market that might be discussable for the Tennessee Titans. We'll narrow it down a little bit today as Terry McCormick joins us from Main Street Media. He, of course, TitanInsider.com. Is he thrilled that Aaron Boone got a contract extension?
Well, he's earned it. I mean, he took him to the World Series last year. First time in 15. Got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, you weren't quite this charitable in August.
No, I wasn't because, they did kind of have an up and down season at times last year.
It's amazing how a little winning will get him back in your corner.
Yeah.
Okay, so I told people that best as I could tell from you, you think the Titans are going to make a real run at Sam Darnold, don't you?
I think it's a possibility, George. I think that Darnold is the biggest fish on the free agent market in terms of quarterbacks. There are others who could get there if their teams move on from them. Chief among them would be Matthew Stafford. And I think if Stafford became available, not necessarily in a trade because picks per se, but if he were to become, or maybe I should say for cheap, if he could be had cheaply, I think they might be more interested in Stafford because he has a history with Brian Callahan. But I think Darnold is a guy that they certainly have on their radar. The other two guys I think that could, one of those could end up here if they become available. One would be Derek Carr, who also has a history with Brian Callahan, and the other, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, we'll get to all those, Terry, here in this segment. Let's start with Darnold because he had a 14-game run where he might as well have been the league MVP, and then he kind of pooped the bed in the final 2 games. How do you think the league is evaluating him based on those last 2?
Well, it probably cost him a little bit of money and might make some teams a little bit more skeptical of him. But also you got to remember this, George. The Vikings offensive line, about halfway or maybe 2/3 of the way through the year, I believe they lost the left tackle, Darshaw. I believe they lost him to an injury for the year. And that offensive line wasn't nearly as good, and teams really started to take advantage of that, especially teams that could get after the passer. And Sam Darnold felt the effects of that. I think he sacked 9 times against the Rams in that loss. So, and then that point was further driven home by the fact in the Super Bowl that the Eagles made Patrick Mahomes' life miserable. So some of that I can put on Sam Darnold because, there were times he was inaccurate. Some of that I got to put on the line for not holding up and protecting him the way they did throughout most of the year.
Terry, in trying to test case this one, why would the Vikings let him go? They can't have that level of trust in J.J. McCarthy. Nothing against the kid, but he hadn't played at all.
No, he hasn't thrown a pass, but obviously, their scouts liked him well enough to take him with a top 10 pick last year. I think it may be a situation where the Vikings have other guys that they need to pay as well. And they're kind of a little short on draft picks. So I think there could be a scenario where they franchise Darnold and then auction him to the highest bidder in terms of who will give them something in return in draft picks. If that happens, I don't know that team is the Titans, given Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker's declaration that they want to build this team through the draft and that they want to have 30 picks over 3 years. I can't see them forfeiting a pick or two just for the right to acquire Sam Darnold and then negotiate a deal with him the same way that Rand Carthon did with L'Jarius Sneed last year.
Terry, Kelly Holcomb is with us by phone, traveling down in southern Middle Tennessee near the Columbia area right now. Kelly, let me throw you into this conversation. How comfortable are you with Darnold?
Well, I'm more comfortable with Darnold than I am with what the Tennessee Titans have right now. I am with that. But I just don't I'm not sure, and I've said it over and over, you're not sure of the Sam Darnold that you're getting now. He's obviously got some experience now. He's played a whole year with the Vikings. He played good last year. And when you do have some shakeups on the offensive line, when you're playing Philadelphia Eagles and guys that can rush the passer, that obviously has something to do with how you play. But I'm just there's always going to be that in the back of your mind. Am I getting the New York Jets Sam Darnold, or am I getting the Minnesota Vikings Sam Darnold? And I'm not sure. I mean, he was a 3-sport athlete coming out of California when he was there. I mean, he's an unbelievable. He's a talented guy now, and he can rocket. He can make things happen with his feet. I think he has gained some experience, and I think if you do end up signing him, or if he does get away from the Minnesota Vikings, you're just hoping that he's the next Geno Smith or the next Baker Mayfield, who's came in with all this hype, with all this first-round draft status, and then kind of didn't pan out with his first team, and then was able to sit on the sidelines, experience a few things, watch some guys play, and then come out and play really well. And I think that's what you're hoping if you're Sam Darnold. So I'm confident in him. I think he's better than what they have now. And I would, if it's me, he would be the guy that I go after too, because I think when you're starting to talk about Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers and all those guys have already had their heyday. If you can get a heyday out of Sam Darnold and you can keep him and he comes down here and he plays for a while and you can get 5 or 6 years out of him, that's what you want.
Terry, I realize a lot of this is just you having to speculate off what you learned down in Mobile. If Darnold isn't available and or not willing to be a Titan, who do you think is number 2 on their list?
Probably Stafford or Carr, I would think. And I want to throw something back at Kelly too. And this is something that hasn't been talked about by a lot of people. It's pretty well known that, Will Levis played poorly at times last year, and that's why his job's in jeopardy as the starting quarterback of the Titans. But then by the same token, people say, well, if you sign Sam Darnold, you better fix the line. Or if you draft Cam Ward, you better fix the line. Or Shedeur Sanders, or whoever you want to draft, you better fix the line, or this guy has no chance. My question is this. If you fix the line and you get better receivers and you're willing to do that for Darnold, or you're willing to do that for a rookie, shouldn't that also make Levis somewhat better? Or is he a lost cause in your mind, Kelly?
I definitely don't think he's a lost cause. I do not think that. I think if you look at what Sam Darnold did last year, and he has not been able to do that in his NFL career, the timing was on. He had the right pieces in place. He had a good offensive line. He had a good receiving core. He had a good tight end, had a running back. He's got pieces in place. I think if you helped Will Levis, I think you would see a better Will Levis. I really do. But I think with you going out and getting some of these free agents, I think it kind of gives Will Levis a little bit of time as well. I mean, maybe he develops into what you think he can be or what you think he could be. So I think it kind of helps him too. But I'm not saying if you go out and you fix all this stuff, I don't think Will Levis is a lost cause. I really don't. Now, I don't know if he's ever going to be the guy that everybody thought he was going to be, but I don't think he's a lost cause because there is something there. I just he's got to learn, and we've talked about this over and over. He's got to learn when things go bad. You can't make a bad play that's going bad worse. That's what makes the great quarterbacks and the good quarterbacks different. Like the great quarterbacks know that when you're off rhythm, when you're off schedule, you have to make a good decision. Well, he did not do that last year. And I've said it over and over, when he knew where he was going with the ball and he's confident in throwing the football, hey, he can swing that thing. But when he has to go to his second and third options, that's where he gets himself in trouble. That's what he's got to get better with.
George, I'll add to that by saying this from some of the stuff that I've been told about the situation. Obviously, they're bringing in competition, and they would like this competition to be a veteran with some skins on the wall. And they still may draft a rookie, even if they don't draft one with the first pick. They still might draft a developmental quarterback. And from what I've been told, as far as like the veterans, like the Darnolds, like a Stafford or a Carr, they need somebody not only that has some skins on the wall, but can be a mentor and teach a guy how it's supposed to be done. Because I think that's what they felt like Levis was lacking a lot of, was learning from a veteran and learning how things are supposed to be done. And they don't want to make that mistake again with him or a rookie. And I think that the other part of this, George, is this, that in terms of a reclamation project, and you hear, well, why not Daniel Jones? Why not Mac Jones? Why not Justin Fields? Why not Zach Wilson? Whoever you want to throw in there, because they already have a reclamation project that they've poured a year into in Levis. They don't need another reclamation project as they try to solve the quarterback position. They need somebody that has done it, and then they need somebody behind them that they can develop and improve for the future.
Okay, let me kind of ask the kind of question that somebody listening to this might be saying to themselves. Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, why would any of them entertain, number one, right now, a suspect offensive line in a team that deep down doesn't have a lot of chance at winning and being a playoff contender next season? Why would they do that other than money?
Money would be it. I guess that would probably put Stafford and maybe Rodgers, who I don't really think they have a lot of interest in Rodgers anyway, because he doesn't seem like the type of guy that would want to mentor a Shedeur Sanders and teach him the ropes of the game, given his history and how he's behaved in the past.
I'm shocked you feel that way.
So, given that situation, there's still only 32 of these jobs as starting quarterbacks in the league. And while a Matthew Stafford might want one more run at a ring, the situation may be different for a Kirk Cousins or a Derek Carr. Whereas if you had one of those guys, you could fix the line, go get another receiver or two in the draft and free agency, and then they're still a starter for another year or two, and they're still earning an NFL paycheck. And, maybe you improve enough to become a borderline playoff team in a year or two. The Darnold situation, I think it's going to be a lot about money, but I also think they would have to promise him that there's going to be some weapons added, and there's going to be some protection added, because you're right. No self-respecting quarterback is going to want to come here to a team that doesn't try and improve and get themselves back at least to where they're competitive.
Okay, Kelly brought up a great point yesterday, and I want you all to bat this around in a minute. So you've got Bargatze, who's talking about the future and the 30 draft picks in the next 3 years. And then you've got a head coach who feels like he's on the hot seat. And if he starts out 1-5, probably doesn't make it through the middle of the season. So isn't the interview process going to be really fascinating, where the quarterback has got to do some really good interviewing of these two to see if they're on the same page.
Sure, absolutely. That's a very valid point. If I'm Brian Callahan and I have a choice of developing Cam Ward and that taking, 3 years to do or whatever, or rolling with Sam Darnold for 3 years, who's already had one good season under his belt and at least knows the ropes, I'm more tempted to go with Darnold because, if I need to get 6 or 7 wins to save my job, I'm more confident that a veteran's going to do that than a rookie because not every rookie comes in and lights it up like Jaden Daniels did this year.
Kelly, run through 2 or 3 of the things that if you were still playing, perhaps in a wheelchair, that you would be asking their people. If you come to town and you meet with Callahan and Bargatze, what are the things you want to know?
Well, obviously, you want to know about the offensive line. I mean, what are we doing with that? Are y'all thinking about drafting a guy? Are we going out in free agency? Have we got enough money to go out in free agency to get a right tackle? If you're settled on the left side of the offensive line, the next guy is a right tackle. You can find a guard, but can we find a right tackle? And do we have enough money to go out and get a quality right tackle? And then I want to know, Calvin Ridley. He played good last year. They found some confidence in him with Will Levis, but I like Nick Westbrook-Akine, but he's done it for a year. But what are we doing with more weapons? Are y'all going to go out and get another guy? Because you can say that, Calvin Ridley missed 2 years, and it's arguable that is he a number one guy or is he a 1A, 1B guy, or is he a number 2 guy? What are we doing with that? And I would be specific in all that, and I would be specific in, and I guess you asked the general manager this, and who knows this, but do we have some stability at the head coaching position? Because I'm not sure of that, and I don't know if that's a question that you can ask. I don't know if I would even ask that going into that, but it just seems like it's not on solid ground to me there. That's kind of what is the Bargatze, because he's a general manager and he's inheriting Brian Callahan. He didn't bring him in. He's inheriting. So like you said, George, are they mixed? Are they on the same page with stuff? And I don't know if that's a question you can ask, but I would definitely want to know that. If I was Sam Darnold coming in here, I would want to know those things, and I want to know is this a stable situation to come into?
Terry?
Yeah, I agree with Kelly. I think my strategy would be this, George. I would get them Bargatze, Brinker, and Callahan all in the same room, and I would ask them that question. Then when I had my individual meetings with them, I'd ask the same question and see if I got the same answer.
Interesting. Let me ask a question here, Terry. I don't know what your situation is. Would you hang for one more segment?
Sure.
Okay, Kelly, right now, so far so good on the connection. We'll bring both of you back up after the break. This is 94.9 The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Longest proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Today we have spread out all over the place. Terry McCormick, for those of you who are watching by way of podcast, he's in a car. I can't tell if he's moving or not. I don't think so. I'm hoping he's not.
No, hands-free, George.
Beautiful. Kelly Holcomb, on the other hand, is anything but hands-free. He's traveling to his daughter's game down in Florence, Alabama. He is in southern Middle Tennessee, and so far, so good as far as the connection. He'll stay with us for about an hour. So we're going to continue some of the discussion in the quarterback world as it involves the Titans. Terry, off what you think you may have learned down in Mobile, are the Titans remotely interested in Shedeur Sanders and or Cam Ward, or do you think they've made the decision?
No, I don't think they've made that decision. Everything is still on the table, George. If they're wowed by these guys when they interview them at the combine and when they go to their pro days and watch them throw, I'm sure they've done their homework, the scouts have, as far as watching film and dissecting every pass these guys have thrown, every sack they've taken, every decision that they've made in terms of, what their college careers. But, what Brian Callahan said was very telling. He said, everything is still on the table, and everything on the table. He said, this is not a year like when he was with Cincinnati and they had the first pick, and it became pretty evident early in the process that Joe Burrow was going to be their selection, because Burrow had just kind of blown them away by what he had put on tape in leading LSU to the national championship. So that made the choice easy. Here, you've got two guys with very different styles. You've got Sanders, who's the pocket passer, rhythm guy, can make timing throws, that sort of thing. And then you've got Cam Ward, who's kind of a, run around, make plays, big arm, throw it down the field and take your chances. Both of those guys excelled at what they did in college. Now, neither one of them played against the greatest of competition in the Big 12 and the ACC this year. And that doesn't necessarily mean a downgrade for them. It just means that, you've got to dig a little further in to see if the right read was there, if they did this correctly, technique wise, and all those sorts of things, because they're not playing Alabama's defense or whatever. So they're still doing their homework. I don't think they've ruled out either one of these guys as being the guy, but I think they would really have to be blown away by one of them in the pro day process and at the combine for them to jump a guy like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter probably at the top of their board.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more thing, and then I'm going to kind of let Kelly and Billy take it home on this whole conversation. Is it too early for the Titans to know if they're going to have some teams who wow them to the point that a trade down is really a possibility?
I think a lot of that talk there may be some preliminary stuff like that, because Bargatze said at his introductory press conference he'd already been getting calls. I don't know how serious he was when he said that, but that should start in earnest at the combine, because you got to remember these general managers, they're all going to be in Indianapolis. They're all going to be at the big pro days, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and of course Miami and Colorado now for the quarterbacks and all. So they're going to be seeing a lot of each other. There'll be a lot of informal conversations, and they're going to listen with open ears here. But I don't think it's really started in earnest yet. That'll start happening probably next week.
Okay, both Billy and Kelly, y'all take it wherever you want to.
Hey Terry, I got a question. With Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, like if the Titans do fall in love with one of those guys, and they do take him with the first pick, which I just can't see. I cannot see that. But stranger things have happened. But if that happens, isn't that a detriment to Will Levis and what they think of him? Because if they do that, they are going to go out and get another. They're going to get a Kirk Cousins, or they're going to get somebody who can man the ship. That's just my opinion. So isn't that, like, if they go out and get and they don't, and they're not thinking about a first round pick on a quarterback, it seems to me like that's a better scenario for Will Levis. Is that kind of what you think, Terry?
I think so. And here's the other thing too that they have to weigh in this process. If you draft
We've lost Terry.
We got our first
freeze.
The whiff. Kelly, you bring up a really good point. If they draft one of those two guys, at some point, Will Levis is toast.
Yeah, he's done. He's going to be the third quarterback more than likely, because can you go into a season where you've already seen what you've seen out of him, but are you going to allow him to be the backup? Because if something does happen to the rookie and you want it and you feel confident enough to him to play, like, I just think I think the Titans have got to go out and get a veteran guy, whether he's going to start or whether you draft a guy. That's my feeling. And like, if they draft one of those guys, then that's not a good scenario for Will Levis.
Can we not act like we haven't seen enough from Will Levis also? I mean, what else do you need to see from that guy?
But didn't somebody say that in Cleveland about Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, but Baker had more raw talent to even begin with.
Billy, I'm kind of on those same lines with you, man. I told y'all before all this, George, I don't know about you, but George was all, I think he's the guy. I think he's the guy, and I know how hard it is. And I bring that up not to throw it in George's face, but just to show you how it is in that arena, man. It's so hard. So yes, I've seen what I need to see. Is Will Levis like headed for stardom? I don't see that, guys, because I just don't see the decision-making process being where it needs to be ever. Now, can it get better? Absolutely. But you you would like to see it where you get some offensive line and you get a complete package where you can do a real evaluation of him. But for me, I've kind of seen what I want to see. Is am I totally over it? No, I think you still got something there. But like, would I, if I'm a coach, I don't think you can go with him ever. That's just me. And being a coach and I'm having to make the decision, I don't think you can ever go with him.
Go ahead, Terry.
Hey, yeah. Sorry, Kelly. I was in the process of answering your question, and my phone kind of went haywire there for a second. But,
okay.
In terms of, what you said about asking, if it's a death knell for Will Levis if they take a quarterback number 1 overall, I agree with you. I don't think it's a good sign for him. If they were to take, a Will Howard or a Kyle McCord or, or Jalen Milroe later on in the draft, then I think that does bode better for Levis's chances to at least play this year. But I still think that no matter if they draft a rookie, they're going to try to get a veteran of some sort somewhere to head that quarterback room this year.
Terry, I've got one. We were talking about it yesterday. With the Titans and the spot they're in, and Kelly made a good point, which I hadn't thought about, but I was talking about how the Titans, the spot they're in, do they need to overpay for a quarterback? And overpay is probably overrated, over talked about, but do they go all out on a quarterback this year? Or because, like you said, the other needs, the offensive line, the receiver, other weapons, do they go on the cheaper end? And Kelly said, and I said, the Titans aren't necessarily a quarterback away. They have other needs. And Kelly goes, well, you're always a quarterback away. So are you with him there that if you're able to go get Darnold, go get him, go get the big fish? Or are you more in the mold of let's snag a Derek Carr or a Daniel Jones and kind of be done with it?
Well, I think it depends on, whether you're a quarterback away. It depends on how you view the guy. If you're looking at a reclamation project, you're probably looking at somebody or a guy who's at the end of his career, a stopgap like Cousins. Now, if you got Matthew Stafford and gave him a decent line and a couple of receivers, I think he can make you instantly much better. Darnold, I'm of the wait and see mode there, but there's no time to wait and see because somebody's going to pay him big money. If it's the Las Vegas Raiders or somebody like that, he's going to get it from somebody, and it's going to be on Bargatze and Brinker and Brian Callahan to do their homework and say, how many years can we get from this guy? And I think you have to structure the contract in a way where you're giving him the money that he can be the guy, but if he's not the guy, you give yourself an out so that you're not stuck in him long term. Sort of like what the Bucs did with Baker Mayfield initially, that he won the job, played very well, and then got himself another extension. So I think that would be the way I would try to set it up if I were the Titans and going all in on Sam Darnold.
Kelly,
Terry, one more thing. Okay, so I know we're talking a lot about Sam Darnold, but me personally, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm franchise tagging Sam Darnold. I'm not letting him get out of there because I don't know what I got with J.J. McCarthy. And everybody's talking about this, and you talked about franchising him and then doing something with him, and maybe that happens. I just don't see them letting him go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call, and under normal circumstances, I think they probably should hang on to him. But, with the needs they have and the lack of draft picks and the cap situation that they have, it's going to take some finagling of the salary cap for that to happen there, Kelly.
Okay, I think we've asked about all the quarterback questions that we can ask for now. Terry, first of all, thanks for taking the time to come on with us.
Sure.
Kelly, do you want to stick around to get stat of the day?
Yeah, let's do stat of the day, and I want to get on with Coach B for just 1 second.
I want you to show good sportsmanship.
Well, it's not going to be today, but I want to be on with it for 1 second.
I'm sure Coach B's thrilled about that.
I'm sure he is. What he ought to do is hang up on us. Okay, stat of the day, and then the college basketball insiders, Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler. Or is it Lee Fowler and Ron Bargatze? We'll figure it out next on 949 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
This is the most anticipated March Madness that we have had in a long time. There's going to be some great basketball, and the George Plaster Show has it all covered. Whether we take our show to your business or you simply endorse things like March Madness scoreboard updates or other features, we've got it all covered. If you want to be part of a big March Madness, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We can fit all of your needs, and we'll find out what your budget will allow. There's going to be some great basketball, and the George Plaster Show has it all covered. Whether we take our show to your business or you simply endorse things like March Madness scoreboard updates or other features, we've got it all covered. If you want to be part of a big March Madness, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We can fit all of your needs, and we'll find out what your budget will allow.
It's the Electronic Express huge President's Day sale. Get up to 30% off desktop computers, laptops, and smart home devices. Up to 40% off 4K TVs, home theater equipment, and Bluetooth speakers. And up to 50% off appliances, housewares, and more. Plus, save up to an additional $1,000 off eligible items. And buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop the President's Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Experience the thrill of gaming glory at Harrah's Metropolis Casino and Hotel, just a little over 2 hours northwest of Nashville off I-24. Call 1-800-HARRAHS and reserve your room today. Indulge in appetizing dining experiences along with the hottest slots and table gaming. As a Caesars Rewards destination, every moment you spend at Harrah's Metropolis earns you points across the entire Caesars empire. It's your time to win at Harrah's Metropolis. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
College basketball insiders Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, here's what we got today. Missouri has 5 SEC wins by 13 or more points this season. That's tied for most in the conference with 2 other teams. Can you all name both of those teams?
Kelly, wouldn't the obvious be to start Auburn, who is one of them, and Alabama is the other?
I don't know. What about Florida? Florida's
that's a good one. And here's a dark horse, Mississippi State. Although I don't think so. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead, George.
Let's go Auburn, Florida, and Alabama in the on-deck circle.
Well, you got it flipped. It's Alabama and Florida.
Oh, wow. Not Auburn.
Florida.
Wow.
Okay.
You got to remember, their gauntlet's coming up now. They haven't had the toughest schedule out of the, it's a tough schedule, but for SEC standards,
the ridiculous stuff.
Yeah. So
okay.
They've been able to.
So officially, we're into the 4:00 hour, and officially, we will say hello to both Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler. They are the college basketball insiders. Coach B, I'll come to you first. As you know, Kelly asked to stay on for a second. Kelly, I want to make it clear, I cannot condone violence.
Coach B, I just wanted to call or just wanted to stay on the line to see how you were and see if you had a better attitude today. Are you good?
Oh, I have a great attitude. I'm a team player.
Good. Thank you. Good. Well, y'all have a good segment. Coach Fowler, you and Coach B, y'all be good. See ya.
See ya.
Well, that's just wonderful, Kelly.
What in the hell was that about? How you guys doing?
Good.
Lee? So
I'm doing great, George.
Yesterday, Mike Organ took a little trip down memory lane. We got into some old Clinic Bowl stuff. And Coach B, I got to thinking, and you're the perfect person to ask this about. Growing up, there was an event right after Christmas that was an absolute basketball-aholics holiday. The March of Dimes tripleheader at Memorial Gym. What do you remember about how that started, and how did it end?
I can't tell you the beginning or the end of it, but I know this. That's what all the kids in Nashville wanted to be a part of. All the basketball players on the high school level wanted to be able to play in that game on that big court in front of a big crowd. So, something I don't know about how it ended?
I honestly don't. I don't remember how it ended. I just know as, a teenager, this was a must-go-to thing. And Lee, I'm looking at you. Did you ever play in it?
I did not. I knew of it, and it was amazing. Some of the Pearl teams played in it, did they not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to look back, there's a huge number of teams or participants north of I-40. That's what it was all about for high school basketball here.
So I'm going to start. This is going to be a little bit of a how great thou art segment. I did pick Missouri last night to beat Alabama because I kind of felt like there was going to be a letdown for Alabama after all the pub of the Auburn game, and that they were going to come in a little bit flat. They needed somebody more like South Carolina to play. Coach B, the show that Missouri put on last night, whew, man, anybody who wasn't totally sold on Missouri gets sold on them.
Dennis Gates, I think, is hands down right now the coach of the year in the league. The turnaround they've made from last year, where they were basically over to do what they've done this year, is pretty impressive.
And he doesn't show any emotion. I mean, it's rare for him to even talk to his assistants. I mean, he's stone-faced every time the camera goes to him. But, man, he instills confidence in his guys. And like you said, Coach B, to come back after not winning an SEC game last year and look like this, that's incredible.
So let me ask both of you guys, is this the example of what you can change in a year's time in the portal and NIL? And is that what Missouri has done here?
Well, I think they've done that, and they also, George, you go through a tough season together. That kind of pulls guys together and coaches, and they understand what they're up against. And you also got to have a couple of breaks. I mean, guys have to have a bucket go in, win a big game. They beat Kansas early in the year, and that really changed their season around. And so I think they're a very good team. And Georgia, I think that it's very important to realize that a team like Missouri, who struggled last year, it's all about this year. And I think some of your Auburns and Alabamas and some of those teams that, they're playing big games, and the Alabama-Auburn game was a big game. But I worry a little bit about them to not have to play games that you have to win, and all of a sudden you get in the NCAA tournament and the pressure's on you to have to win, and that changes everything. So we'll look at that the last 3 weeks of the season, but I think that there's no question SEC is going to go 10, 11, maybe even 12 teams in if the wins fall the right places. But Missouri is definitely a really good basketball team, and it's good for them because they were so down last year that this year is all about every game, and some of the other teams I think are some of the same teams that they had last year, and they were successful last year. And it's just a long season with this year, with every team you play can beat you. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be really hard.
Did we get a Lee Fowler freeze?
Play every night when they have to win.
Okay, he unfroze, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask both of y'all, what is Missouri's ceiling? And I realize there were a lot of things last night for them that went right. They're at home. They got this great crowd behind them. They got the kid Grill hitting everything in sight. Are they really that good? And if they are, what is their ceiling?
I think their balance is really good. If you look at, let's take this year versus last year, Lamont Paris and South Carolina, they were the cock of the walk. Everybody looked up to them, amazed at what they were doing. And now Missouri, South Carolina have totally switched positions.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Lee, what is their ceiling in your mind?
If you're talking about the NCAA tournament, I think they can win a couple of games. If you're talking about more they can win in the league, I haven't really looked at what's left in their season, but they won enough games now. They're comfortably in the tournament, and that now they'll start changing that look to looking about the NCAA tournament, because I think every team at some point goes through that process, and I think that's a good thing. You're playing along and you're just trying to get yourself good enough to get in the tournament, like Vanderbilt is still trying to do. They've done it. And so now things change a little bit for them. So it'll be interesting to see how they do in a big game on the road after they realize that more than likely they're in the tournament. And so now that all their goals have changed at this point.
Yeah, they got Arkansas on the road on Saturday. And after that, it's pretty manageable. South Carolina, Vandy, Oklahoma, and Kentucky. So it's not necessarily murderer's row in the SEC.
Yeah.
Spoken like somebody, Ronnie, that hadn't coached and played those teams. Those are pretty tough games.
Well, there are no gimmies. We know that. But to me, it's just, I think George's original question, and basketball is totally different than football. You can add one or two players to the mix, and you've got a totally different team. And Missouri seems to have done that from last year.
It was scary last night. They were really good. So, Lee, you brought up Kansas, and I don't know if you guys got to see the telecast Tuesday night, and I will admit I picked BYU. I've had a halfway decent week on some big games. BYU absolutely pummeled Kansas, but it was more the stuff that Sean Farnham pointed out during the telecast, lack of effort on the defensive end. There was one particular play where he asked the director on the air, basically, go back and show me this again and watch how there is nobody coming anywhere close to the shooter in the corner. I walked away from that telecast going, there's something going on at Kansas. I don't know if y'all saw it or not. If you did, either one of you got any thoughts?
Well, I'm not very impressed with Kansas right now. I know they've had good wins early in the year, but some of those wins aren't as good since the teams they beat aren't as good as people thought they were, like North Carolina. And I just think that he's kind of lost them. I'm not sure they're a great team with a great cohesive team, and I really believe that they'll get in the tournament, but they're not very good. I mean, I've watched them 3 games in a row now, and they're not playing very good. I don't know, Ronnie, if they haven't made payments on the NIL weekly payments or what, but they don't play with a lot. They don't play with a lot of enthusiasm.
Well, you've got to think that the dynamics of the NIL has got to seep into the locker room and the dormitories. There's got to be some raw feelings that show up from here and there. And I think that's why you're going to see some of these teams, if their NIL situation is not solid, if it's handled right, if it's managed properly, that's one thing. But that thing can go south in a hurry when there's jealousy and bitterness that go between players. If some guy's out playing the guy getting more money, you can only watch that locker room dynamic change.
Okay, y'all take me through. Tennessee's got basically a week off from when they played Vandy on Saturday to when they go to A&M this coming Saturday for what will be like a rock fight, a rock throwing fight. That will be one tough college basketball game. Coach B, how concerned should Rick Barnes be that his team has fallen into a turn it on, turn it off kind of deal where when they turned it off against Vandy, they stunk up the joint, and then they turned it on at halftime when he challenged them, and they shot 72% from the field to rally to win.
We should never be surprised at teams losing big leads. The three-point basket and just the emotional part of it can turn a game around in just a second. I saw Belmont last night hosting Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa could beat a lot of teams. They could get several wins in the SEC. They're that kind of team. Very fundamentally sound, really good players at all positions, very well coached, and kind of what we've always thought about those top tier Missouri Valley teams. They're one of them, and you can count a couple others from the Missouri Valley in the same way.
Lee, give me some thoughts there.
Well, George, I think, as we've said for 2 years now, when they score the ball consistently, they're hard to beat because they come to play defense every night. And I just think when they, if they're not ready to play, that adds to it. But most nights, if they don't shoot it well, and they can not shoot it well pretty often, unfortunately, and they rely on Ziegler so much, and he seems to be getting a little weary and tired because you go 40 minutes every game, it's hard to carry. I think that's what happened to North Carolina too. I think R.J. Davis is just worn out because he's playing the whole game. But I just think they struggle to score. And when they struggle to score, if the other team's scoring, I didn't think they played very good defense against Vanderbilt the first half. And as their offense got better, their defense picked up the second half. So I think they need to knock shots down, and they'll be fine. If they don't, they could be an early out, and that's bad to say because I think they're a very good basketball team.
Coach B, I know you feel the same way about what is their ceiling, but doesn't Barnes have to be asking the question, look, Vandy beat you in Nashville. You should have been absolutely on the revenge tour to get back at them, and instead you show up at the start flatter than a pancake. Didn't that surprise you a little bit?
Well, sometimes that revenge thing gets a little bit overused. Tennessee does have some consistent exterior. I mean, their long game or their 3-point shooting, the things that they can do okay but not great, it's going to bite them some. And they're going to lose some games. They've got to be able to balance up that inside, the inside with the outside game. And Milicic is a really big key to there. Whenever he makes a 3-pointer, makes a big play, gets double-figure rebounds, they become a different team.
So if you go 1 through 16 in the SEC, where do you have Tennessee right now? What number?
Oh, I think in that 4 to 7 range.
I'd say the same thing. I'd say 5 to 6, but it's their scoring that limits them, I think.
That's amazing. That also says something about the strength of the conference right now. We'll go to the break, then Billy will kind of take over. We'll open up the phone lines for your questions and comments for these guys around 4:40. So keep that in mind. This is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. George@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
College basketball insiders on a frigid Thursday afternoon in Music City. Billy, I have left a lot of meat on the bone. Have at it.
Well, Vandy, they had them in the first half last night. They had a great first half at Rupp Arena, Coach B, but they got outscored by 20 points in the second half, end up losing 41-21 in the second half. Here's what they've got coming up. They got Ole Miss Saturday at 2:30. They got to go to A&M, 2 straight home games against Missouri and Arkansas, and then at Georgia. How are you feeling about their chances right now?
Well, there's some must-wins if they want to get in without any question. And I say must-wins because it depends on how deep they go in the SEC. But a must-win would be Ole Miss. Missouri, I thought early in the year, I kind of marked that up as a win for the Commodores. But now Arkansas becomes that second must-win with the possibility of, by the way, Chip Walters just called me, so I thought I'd better stay on target here. I'll pick back with him later. But Arkansas, Ole Miss, they got to win 2 more games, I think, to get in for sure.
Lee?
I agree with Ronnie. I can see them losing all those games. I think they look tired right now. I think 3 or 4 days off would probably be better for them than anything else. But at this point in the season, I think that they're getting worn down and they don't have the size everybody else does. And so they're definitely going to have to shoot it well. And they play good defense. I mean, I love what Coach Byington's doing with them. I think he's a very good coach. He's done a heck of a job with them. It's just tough this year. And but I think home games are your best opportunity, but nobody's overlooking them anymore. So they're getting everybody's best shot, and they seem to get tired after halftime.
Lee, with your committee experience, I'm sure you've had those years where the bubble is weak, and this might be a year where Vanderbilt benefits from a weak bubble, where they have some advantages. Maybe playing in the SEC helps them. Could that benefit Vanderbilt to a level where if they only get to 7 wins, the bubble is so weak that Vanderbilt's still in a good spot? Now, it depends what else happens. But, have you seen those years where the bubble is weak and maybe a team that doesn't normally get in a competitive bubble season ends up getting in?
I tell you, the one thing, 6 years on the committee and watching it closely since then, Billy, is that the bubble, all 8 or 9, 10 teams that you're looking at when you get on the bubble are all look just alike. I mean, they look like you're trying to ask somebody out for the prom, and all the girls that are left don't look very pretty, but they've got great personalities. So I mean, it's a tough situation, and I worry mostly about the Vanderbilt non-conference schedule. So coming down because that's what they're going to look at when it comes down to really studying the teams and what they did and who they played and where they won. And he won all the games except Drake, and Drake's a very good team. But still, some of the other teams have some wins against people that he doesn't. So, winning is good, losing is bad. So winning 2 more games, 3 would be wonderful. But I really think that everybody that's on the bubble looks pretty much the same, pretty much every year because of mathematics.
Coach B, last night Jason Edwards sat to begin the second half, and he's averaging around 24, 25 minutes right now. Do you think he should be playing more? Because he hits these shots where you go, what are you doing? And then they end up going in. What do you think about the minutes distribution with some of those guys? Because I know there's Vandy fans that are a little confused.
Well, I'll tell you, any coach is going to get questioned on playing time, depending on several factors. But Edwards is the one guy who can get his shot from the perimeter on his own. If you think about a couple of the other players on the team, they get some scoring done, and there have been some nice performances down the stretch that got them good wins. But Edwards is a guy that everyone has to game plan for, and he can take the air out of the defense by his ability to penetrate. So I like to see him in the game as much as he can be in there, because I think the other coaches love seeing him on the bench.
Lee, you've seen some really good overall one seeds. I think we all think Auburn is going to be that this year, led, of course, by Janai Broome. They're unbelievable. I mean, they're deep. They can throw different guys at you. They can shoot it. They can do just about everything. So far, where does Auburn rank in your mind in past, potential number one overall seeds and best teams in the country in your mind?
Well, I mean, when you lose 2 or 3 games in the league they're playing in, I think they've lost 1 maybe, but they're a very good team. But I wonder about, I mean, they do some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen on the court. And so that's going to bite you when you get in a 50 to 52 game against a team that's maybe not as good as Auburn, but close to being as good, and executes and shoots the ball well. And I think that's where they'll struggle in the tournament. But when you're a number one seed, you're not going to meet anybody like that into the regionals, and then pressure's on people. And but I worry about them being in the tournament, getting in a close game. They hadn't really been in a close game that they have to win. So they're by far, I think, the best team in the country at this point in time. But that doesn't mean they're going to get to the Final Four.
Well, and I think we know exactly who you're talking about, and they like to talk. They're really good. They back a lot of it up.
Auburn likes to talk.
They talk so much, and I'm with you. It could bite them. But Ron, as a head coach, how do you wrangle in guys like Chad Baker-Mazara who do, like Lee said, do some of the dumbest things? He got ejected last year in the Yale game. How do you wrangle in guys like that?
Well, you have some players that are the proverbial two-edged sword. They can beat anybody, or they can get beat by anyone. And, the Auburn players probably don't get to talk much in practice and around their gymnasium, but their coach is doing most of the talking. So we'll see how that develops.
Yeah, they put on the identity of their head coach, huh? But that Arkansas team, I was impressed. They did just about everything they could last night, Lee. I don't know if you were watching, but they look like a tournament team to me. I know they've got, I think it's 9 losses right now, but man, they look like a tournament team.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very talented team, but you still got to win games. And, I think they're 4-9 in the league. And so they've got to win down the stretch to get up to 7 or 8. And there's no question they're talented enough. They're much more talented than some of the teams that have beaten them already. But once again, I mean, and back to Auburn, I mean, I've never seen a guy like Bruce. He's a wild man on the side. I mean, it's tough to go out there and execute and be calm and execute when he's over there going crazy the whole time. So, unfortunately, as you said, you take on the personality of your coach, and they've definitely got 100% on that.
Well, and Kentucky has taken on the personality of Mark Pope. They were without Lamont Butler and Jackson Robinson last night, and obviously still beat Vanderbilt. Coach B, the stuff they run to me is perfect for the shooters they have, and Amari Williams down low, and Andrew Carr did just enough. Is that a team you think, Kentucky, that can make a run in March?
Is that the way you pronounce his name?
Yep.
That guy is probably the most underrated player in the league. He can really get things done. He has a lot of nights where he's 6 for 9, 7 for 10. that sort of thing, but he puts points up. He's an emotional leader. And I think if you're playing against Kentucky, you don't want the ball in his hands. And then their perimeter shooting has really picked up too. I'm not sure that's always their best team when they have those perimeter shooters, but I can tell you that there's an amazing amount of fear when those guys get the ball on the perimeter. I'm telling you, they're scary.
Coach B, let the dogs in.
George, I think somebody's at Ronnie's door.
I think you may be right about that. Right now, they're frostbitten. So let me ask you all this before we go to the break, and then we'll kind of open it up and see where people want to go. We've never seen an SEC like this before, but I kind of am where Lee is a little bit. I think Vandy's a team that looks really tired, but I don't think they're the only one. And that's got to be of some level of worry to a bunch of the coaches that feel this way about their teams. Talk to me about that a little bit, if y'all will.
About teams looking tired this time of year?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you always have some of this, but it feels like this year where every game is a rock fight and you get a scheduling scenario. Coach B, the fact that Vandy went 1-5 in these last 6 should not be a huge shock. You could see this coming in their schedule, and virtually every team has got some of this. If you're a coach, what do you do?
Yeah, George, you and I talked about 3 weeks ago when we saw this stretch coming up for the Commodores and thought, where are the wins coming from down the stretch here? And it's been a very, very, very difficult schedule in the league. But being tired down the stretch has a little bit to do with the type game it's in. Vandy doesn't do a lot. They'll run at the drop of a hat, but they don't run indiscriminately, and they're happy to set up and play half-court basketball. But you get Edwards, for instance, in the broken field, and get him in a transition game, and he's really scary. But his penetration ability is great. But who's he going to throw it to on the perimeter that really scares you as a three-point shooter? And to me, that's a big weakness.
Lee, I guess I wonder, is there really any advantage for some of the upper echelon teams when they get to March to try to have a long SEC tournament run and then face the NCAA tournament? It seems to me there are going to be some coaches that privately, without telling anybody, go, I'm not all that sorry we lost early.
Yeah, I think, George, this time of year, having coached and gone to the Final Four, and, they ought to be practicing maybe an hour and 20 minutes. I don't know. And that has a lot to do with guys that have been to this level before. A lot of the coaches in the SEC realize that. They've been Ole Miss coach, Kentucky coach. They all realize what they're up against. And so hopefully they're shortening everything, just really running over. They're playing some of the same teams. So I think it's very important. Time off is very important. SEC tournament is not going to mean much to anybody. They'll tell you they want to win it if they're Auburn or Alabama or Florida, but it's not going to really mean much to playing in the NCAA tournament. So the pressure's not on those guys. And I look for them to play more and more players, because a win is not going to hurt you to get in the tournament or get you a better seed. So it's really important. And the Krzyzewskis and the Williams and the Izzos and those guys realize that and really change what they're doing down the stretch, because kids do get tired. They talk all the time at AAU. They play 3 or 4 games a day, and that's all great. But the emotion to play games like you're playing in the SEC this year, it takes a coach that realizes that my guys are getting tired. I'm sure Rick Barnes realizes that. So you got to give them some time off, and that's tough for a coach to sit people and also give them time off, because they won't be prepared. So to answer your question, I think that a lot of the teams look tired to me, and some of the teams look like they've lost their team. But that's okay because they'll get them back when they get to the point they have to win games again.
Coach B, do you ever get to a point, if you're playing on Tuesday and you look wiped out, does a coach ever say, take Wednesday and Thursday off, I don't want you anywhere near this gym, we'll see you Friday and we'll get ready for X?
It depends a lot on the makeup of the players and the leadership that's on teams. You can tell a lot of times how much leadership is on a team when you see some adversity and players kind of stepping in and taking charge rather than them bickering about something. And, they're again, you can look back on today's world, and Rick Barnes had the quote of the year in the SEC when he told Chaz Lanier, we're paying you to take that shot. We can't forget that quote.
He did say it, didn't he?
I'm not surprised it came from Coach Barnes, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, let's start first with, if people out there have text questions, thoughts, whatever for these guys, how do they do it by way of text?
Yeah, we've got a good one in the hopper right now in the chat room on YouTube, so keep them coming. You can also do it on Twitter and Facebook. If you're watching there, just swipe up and type in your question, and we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, now, as for the phone calls, I want some red-blooded Americans who love college basketball.
Some hoops junkies.
Yeah, absolutely. At 615-553-0933. 615-553-0933. Hit the phones now. This is 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank & Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
College basketball insiders for a Thursday afternoon. Lee Fowler, Ron Bargatze. Got a couple of calls on the line. I'd like to get a couple more. If you've got good questions for these guys, jump in. 615-553-0933. I'll begin with a phone call. Let's start Eric on line 1. Eric, what do you got for these guys?
Hey, guys, I know you normally don't hear me on college basketball, but just a couple of quick things. First of all, I thought it was fun. I saw a thing on a little while ago on ESPN saying that the coach of Missouri convinced the fans not to storm the court after the game against Alabama because for NIL money. That was a report I heard a little while ago on ESPN because they had already done it once against Kansas. I thought that was kind of funny. But the main thing I was calling in about was Belmont. I was at the game last night, and I thought that Belmont, they had a 17-point lead in the first half, 10 at halftime, but then they played a terrible second half. I thought they took some bad shots and was kind of sloppy, and they got killed on the inside with layups and dunks by the NIU team. And also thought real nice was halftime with the retirement of Ian Clark's jersey and the ceremony that they had for him. He left on the plane, I think, this morning to go to Australia, be with his team who made the playoffs. I thought that was real nice, which wanted to get that in. But, guys, as far as the NCAA tournament coming up, they're, of course, talking about the fact you've got, 12, 13 teams from SEC, but this is kind of a two-part question. One, do you think for Belmont to have a shot to get in, they pretty much have to win the tournament? Because I know they're in the Missouri Valley Conference where they could have more than one bid, but do you think that's probably going to happen, them winning the conference tournament to get in the playoffs? And also heard, again, over the weekend where they've talked about expansion of the college basketball field because of the fact you've got teams from the SEC and the Big Ten having double-digit teams, and I've heard now they're talking about going to 72 or 76. I'm hoping they don't do it because I like the field the way it is, but I believe because of money and just with the way, especially SEC is next year, that could eventually down the road happen. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Belmont, if they've got a shot, just Ian Clark retirement jersey last night, and the fact that expanding the field. Guys, I'll get off. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, good stuff. Coach B, start with Belmont. They got to win the tournament.
They do because the Missouri Valley, a great conference, been pretty underrated over the years, but with Drake and University of Northern Iowa, I think they're the best two teams. Then Bradley's in there, and Belmont is fourth. And they're not going to go any more than 2 deep in the Missouri Valley unless someone wins the tournament.
The two right now are Drake and Bradley.
Yeah, no question. So I was at the game last night and really respect Ian Clark. He was a great player, and number 21 will never be worn again after this year or the career of Rogers, who's their starting post player right now. So I think that's pretty cut and dried on Belmont right now.
Okay, Lee, we're going to take not only Eric's question about the expansion of the tournament, but a text question as well. What number do you think we're going to?
To the expanding, you mean?
Yeah. Are we expanding?
I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what a lot of people want to happen. Mostly your coaches and administrators want to expand because getting in the tournament means a lot to your fans of being good enough to be in the tournament. But
keeps people's jobs.
Yeah, and those jobs aren't making 100,000 anymore; they're making millions of dollars. So they're pushing. Dan Gavitt is a great guy, and he believes, as I do, that it's the only tournament that when the college tournaments start in the conferences, everybody's in the NCAA tournament. So it has access to everybody now. If you win your conference championship, you go to the NCAA tournament. No other tournament like football and those things don't have anywhere close to being inclusive like that. So, and as far as making more money, I'm not sure they make more money, because when you add more games, you add games that not as many people care about. And we all know, if you're willing to state it, it's about gambling and it's about games that people bet on. And so gamblers like it because they have more games to bet on and more time to recoup their losses. But I think that it may expand. It may go 4 to 6 more, but I'm not sure that's 100%. We'll know more in next spring and summer, because that's when they'll meet again about that to decide if they're going to expand or not. And as you know, George, when that happens, the women's tournament expands, and there's not very many good teams. There's 20, 25 good teams in the women's basketball, so you really get a watered down product as that goes, even though they've improved and have more good teams. So it becomes an expense for the NCAA as much as it does revenue for the NCAA.
So, Lee, who is it that makes the decision, yay or nay?
Well, they'll run it through the committees. There's a basketball committee, a competition issues committee, which I was chair of for 6 years after I left the basketball committee. The coaches will recommend it. That's coaches, administrators. They'll go to the basketball committee. You got to work it out with CBS and your TV partners, because there has to be enough time to get the Masters on with CBS. As CBS has less of the games, that may become a less issue with them, even though they're selling their contract to those other entities to make enough revenue to make it work. So there's a lot involved in it, and a lot of it is the number of games that you can get in, still finish first weekend in April, and then the Masters the next weekend. And that sounds crazy, but that's what it's been forever.
Billy, go to the bottom comment, because I really want to get these guys to comment. It's, are we forgetting who beat Auburn? Of course, Florida took them behind the woodshed a couple of Saturdays ago in Auburn. Coach B, is it possible that Florida is the best team in the SEC?
Well, they've shown some nights they are. It's pretty. They can be so strong. They've got their inside game took a little hit, but their perimeter guys are probably the best in the conference.
I agree. I think Florida, and they're getting people healthy again. So sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't, because you're playing well. But I think they're as good as teams, anybody in the country. They can get to the Final Four definitely, and they're much better schooled than Auburn is about coaching the game. And I've said 2 or 3 times, George, the last 3 or 4 weeks, that I love them because they make free throws. They're all 80% free throw shooters. And in the tournament, that's really big to make your free throws down the stretch.
And also in these conference games that are all 1 and 2 possession kind of games, it's vitally important. Clay, you are up next. Say hello to the insiders.
Guys, how y'all doing today?
Good.
Good. Coach B, I wanted to ask you a question since you used to coach at Vandy, and then I wanted to ask Lee something about how this net works and stuff like that, and schedule strength and things like that. So, Coach, when a team struggles in the second half, and this is being talked about, so, it's all fans are talking about, it's all, media's talking about, things like that. As a coach, if you put yourself in Coach Byengson's shoes, what is there you can do in the locker room or in practice or whatever to try to get, this thing turned around, to try to get these kids some confidence, things like that?
There's really not an owner's manual for that question because every team is different. The leadership, their inside-outside ability, coaches making adjustments, etc. Last night in the Belmont game against Northern Iowa, they left, I think, 6 or 7 points on the board from the free throw line on missed free throws at a very critical time in that game when it was very much up for grabs. It was a 1 and 2 point game either way. So there's no owner's manual. I think the best coaches do it by feel. If you look at a Rick Pitino or that type of coach at that level, which, by the way, he's done a phenomenal job at St. John's and really has them cooking right now. But I think the coach just has to make decisions on the run, on the fly there, and hopefully they're the right ones.
I can't say negative. I can't say anything negative about Vanderbilt. I think they play well. They're playing the same way they've been playing. Sometimes you get tired. Sometimes you don't have as big people as the other team. So I really respect what Byington's doing and how he's coaching. And, they just got to make some shots and keep their legs under them because I think they get tired.
Clay, I know you had something else. Go ahead with it.
Yeah, you used to chair the committee, Lee. So I'm going to kind of put you as to what goes on now. Vanderbilt's schedule strength is what I wanted to ask you about. I think it was the Auburn game, I believe, and we were playing Auburn at home. We've played Tennessee on the road and Kentucky on the road since then. So when I saw this, their schedule strength was 54. And they put it up on the screen last night, and both these instances were late in the first half. So last night, it's fallen to 66. And I don't understand how at this gauntlet we're playing that our schedule strength has stopped 12 spots. Appreciate you taking my call, George, as always. You guys have a good day.
Hey, thank you. It's an interesting question because God knows since January, none of these teams in the SEC should have their strength of schedule go down.
Yeah, it's amazing, George. I wasn't quick enough in math, but that net is not only who you play, who you win, who they played, who they lost to, who they won. Has to do with their non-conference schedule. So they've got it so confusing now that it's hard to say, well, that's not fair because it's about everybody and what everybody's playing and who you played the last game. And to lose to Auburn and Kentucky shouldn't make you drop lower, but I don't know if they're talking about their conference schedule or their non-conference schedule or the combination of both, because you wouldn't think it would drop playing Auburn. I just worry about their non-conference because I think that's what they're going to look at.
And it's not a power rating or ranking. And they're not ranking the teams. It's a grouping tool. That's how they look at the teams and group the teams together, like you said, Lee. So it's not necessarily, here are the best teams and here's how we rank them. It's really, like Lee said, based on their wins and things like that.
Okay, y'all give me, as we end this, got about a minute and a half. At 11 o'clock Saturday morning, Tennessee goes to A&M, which I think is going to be an absolute dogfight. Who do y'all think wins?
Well, I think I've got one thing to add to that too, but I think that A&M is going to be really tough to beat in College Station. They're just physical. They're quick. I like their team. But, Lee, I want to mention one thing before we leave the show today, and that is we know how important athletic department personnel is. And MTSU lost a lady in the last 24 hours, Debbie Bartlett, who filled a lot of shoes, a lot of roles in your athletic department and has been around for a while.
Yeah, I hate to hear that. I didn't know that. I saw her at her husband's funeral 2 or 3 months ago, and I knew she was sick. She had cancer, she told me. But she was a lady that was, and all those athletic departments are run by beautiful people that care and love the program. And she was one of those at MTSU.
Coach B, thanks for bringing that up because quite a few people didn't know it. So I think I heard, Coach B, you said A&M. What do you say, Lee?
I'm gonna go Tennessee just because I think that they're going to shoot the ball well. No other reason. I think they didn't shoot the ball well, and you know, I think Tennessee and both of those coaches, and we'll talk about it next week, George. But the SEC has so many veteran coaches. They know what they're doing. They know what point in the season it is. So every night you're getting well prepared, best coaches, guys that have been there, and I think that's why they're so much better than everybody else right now, along with NIL money. But they're really well coached, the league is.
Guys, thank you both. We'll do it again next Thursday. Appreciate your coming on with us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Coach Ron Bargatze, Lee Fowler. They are the college basketball insiders. They're with us every Thursday during the basketball season. After the break, I'm going to try to make you some money. It's Plaster Bet of the Day on 94.9 The Fan. This is the most anticipated March Madness that we have had in a long time. There's going to be some great basketball, and the George Plaster Show has it all covered. Whether we take our show to your business or you simply endorse things like March Madness scoreboard updates or other features, we've got it all covered. If you want to be part of a big March Madness, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We can fit all of your needs, and we'll find out what your budget will allow.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
It only happens once a year, and it's happening now. The Electronic Express Annual Clearance Sale. Save up to 80% on overstocks, demos, closeouts, scratch and dents, and one-of-a-kinds, some brand new in the box. Don't miss these savings at Electronic Express on HD TVs, home theater systems, appliances, computers, and more. But hurry, quantities are limited, and deals this big won't last. Shop the clearance sale at any Electronic Express location today.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Thursday. It's now time for Plaster's Bet of the Day. Got some college basketball action tonight. We'll see where he is going. But first, take a look at last night's results. Had a loss with New Mexico. They did not cover the +4.
Boise ripped them around pretty good. The kid, Tyson, I cannot say his last name. Let's just go with Tyson D. Big kid, big, strong kid, went off for Boise.
Missouri, that pick won, and then SMU ended up covering the two.
I think it's Degenhart, by the way.
Okay.
Tyson Degenhart. Okay, so I had a good one in Missouri. Kind of went out on a limb, and the old Tigers made me look good. Tonight, you get some of the smaller conferences. Jacksonville State is a really good basketball team that may well get in the NCAA tournament. I'm taking them tonight, -6 at home against New Mexico State. Big game in town tonight. I'm going to it. Lipscomb. This is a battle for first place in the A-Sun. And I'm taking Lipscomb and Lenny Acuff minus the 6 against North Alabama. Billy, this will be a really good game.
North Alabama's up at the top with Lipscomb in the conference, right?
Yep.
They need that one.
You got a lot at stake tonight. I hope they have a good crowd. Now, it'll be cold as all get out getting into the arena, but once you get in, I think it's going to be a red-hot game, a really good one.
Yeah, it's usually fun the last few years when they get together. I feel like I went to one of them the last couple of years. They both got good programs.
This will not be easy, but I'm rooting for Lenny Acuff. Tomorrow, Mark Griffin will join us. By the way, tomorrow, the show pretty much, it looks like, in its entirety, will be by way of, how am I trying to say this? Thank you. Because of Vanderbilt baseball. So join us tomorrow in podcast form. Until then, for Billy Derrick, for Kelly Holcomb, for the College Insiders, and for anybody else you want to throw in, George Plaster, good night, everybody.